Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing, and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in.
Hello, it is Philly here. Welcome to the show. Before we dive into this episode today, which I'm so excited to share with you, I just wanted to do another quick announcement about my book. We're in pre-release month this month. So my book, Ending Body Burnout, a functional medicine guide for busy women with energy, mood, and gut issues, is soon to be released by the end of this month. Now, we're doing a little special deal. So if you pre-order your book before it is physically released at the end of the month, not only will you be the first people to get the book, but also you will access almost $300 worth of bonuses. So that will include our Beating Body Burnout and Perfectionism short course, a live communicating with symptoms, intimate workshop with Chris and I, plus a bonus NLP process recording, which will help to switch off symptoms, and my gut movement masterclass. So if you purchase the book before the end of the month, you will get immediate access to all of these resources, which will essentially complement your reading of the book also. Also look out for details on the book tour that is coming to a city near you. So excited about that. Okay, so today in the episode, I am chatting to the beautiful Helen Marshall, who is founder of Primal Alternative. I have been following Helen and Primal Alternative for many years, probably when I first started eating healthy, whole food, and I was missing the bread and the cookies and the cakes. I stumbled across Primal Alternative by a local Primalista in Tasmania. And I was like, oh my gosh, this bread is amazing, and you make healthy cookies and pizza bases, and it is all grain-free. And what I love about Primal Alternative too, which is really helpful for clients or for people who are currently on healing protocols, is that there are options that are low FODMAP, paleo, keto, vegan, nut-free. Helen and her Primalistas have got you covered. Now, Helen is also one of our sponsors of the book, Ending Body Burnout. So I'm so incredibly grateful for her for backing up the book even before she was able to read a draft. She was on board straight away. She's like, I love what you do. We align so much in our own stories and in our own mission, which you will learn from Helen today. And so I just really wanted to get her on the podcast as well to share her own ending body burnout story and also the ripple effect that she is creating with Primal Alternative. So her official bio. So Helen's mission is to empower people to be accountable to their purpose with a new business model freedom, the Primalista license. The model was born from a desire to share a successful grain-free food business model. As a health coach, Helen saw firsthand how people fell off the wagon as they missed comfort food staples like bread, pizza, pastries, and cookies. So she created nourishing alternatives to the foods everyone loves, and they literally sold like hotcakes. Helen gets the struggles many face, finding a vocation that aligns with their values. So she packaged everything she'd learned about creating a food business from home, whilst on a healing journey, raising a family and designing a lifestyle around the things she loves. The Primalista license meets the needs of many people in all areas of their lives: vocational, financial, mental, spiritual, social, physical. And to date, over 291 Primalistas have joined Primal Alternative in Australia, New Zealand, USA, and UK. So before ditching the rat race, she was a fitness instructor and personal trainer, then a business manager for a leading recruitment company in the city. Helen has interviewed people all of her life, listening to their desires around health, work, and lifestyle, and has combined those skills to bring her greatest contribution yet, the Primalista license. Helen lives in 100 acres of wilderness in Albany, WA, with her husband, Mike, and their teenage children, Sam and Millie. She likes body balance, body step and body pump, massage, coffee with her bestie, sunbathing, meditation, walks in nature, and champagne in the spa. And I know you are going to absolutely love Helen. Stay to the end because we get a little bit off track, but not really at all, around also the inner guide. Hello, Helen. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Philly. It's very cool to be here.
Yay. We actually did a swapsy, so I feel like I've only just spoken to you.
Me again, sorry.
No need to apologize. Okay, so when we have our guests coming on to the Ending Body Burnout show, we love to get just super personal straight away. So what got you, well, actually, first of all, what got you into nutrition and using food as medicine, which I think will probably lead into your own body burnout story?
Absolutely will. Yeah. So I am lucky to be born into a family of cranks, as they're self-named. So my mum and dad always cooked everything from scratch. There was always home cooked meals. My dad always had a veggie patch. They were into going to the gym, going to yoga, doing transcendental meditation. They were really kind of cool parents to have. So I've always been trying to be healthy, and I guess that veered away from my parents. My mum and dad are awesome. They never get swept away with a trend. They've always had butter. They've always had full fat milk. They never went the low fat route, but I did, because I was obviously peer pressured and socialized into that kind of life. And I was in the fitness and wellness industry from the age of 14. So I was really bad at sport at school. No, I was always wing defense in netball. So everyone knows that's the worst position to play. Nobody will ever throw the ball to me because I was used to close my eyes and go like that. So I got into aerobics as my kind of activity. Mm-hmm. And I loved it, moving my body to music. It was amazing. And I actually started teaching aerobics at the age of 14.
Wow.
And started working in gyms. And the message there was always low fat, high carbohydrate, calories in, calories out. How many calories can you burn in the step class? There wasn't really any regard. Well, there was no regard for nutrient density or additives, like chugging down Pepsi Max was fine because it had no calories in it.
Wow.
And also as a teenager, I suffered quite a lot from acne. Looking back, it probably wasn't too bad. And as a child, a lot of recurring tonsillitis. So mum and dad worked full time. So I was at doctors quite a lot with repeat prescriptions for penicillin. And then when I had my acne, I was on something called oxytetracycline, which I remember the name of it because I was on that many repeats of it. And most people that I mention this to raise their eyebrows and say, oh my goodness, that's an extremely potent antibacterial antibiotic. Which is great because it gets rid of all the bacteria on your skin and prevents the acne, but it also gets rid of bacteria in your gut.
So great.
So I remember not so good. So I remember like being at uni and being like super depressed, like lying in bed, just crying and crying and crying. And that kind of continued on. Like, you know, you sort of look back in time and you think, no, I can see now where you can put these pieces together. So I kind of just carried on high functioning, bumbling along. And then, yeah, it was when I got really into food as medicine, was to heal from my body burnout.
So what was happening? Like what other, so you mentioned the acne, what other symptoms were you experiencing and how old were you? So you're 14 when you,
14 when I started doing the aerobics.
Yeah.
And then 19 when I had the acne situation. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, got carried on with life. I remember like really big spells of feeling sort of quite down. and nothing too serious. And, you know, being from the north of England, the mentality always like, cheer up, love, you know, it might never happen, you know, pull your socks up, get on with it kind of thing. But I can see probably now, you know, with hindsight, what a glorious thing that is. There was probably a lot of gut stuff going on that was causing that kind of like flat mood. And it wasn't really until after I'd had my second kid that I really started to really kind of go downhill from there. So I'd always had issues with reflux and heartburn. And the things that were sort of coming up for me right before I had my complete crash. So I'd worked in corporate, I'd left corporate to be with baby number one because I had that horrible torn, you know, when I was at work, I felt like I should be with him. And then when I was with him, I felt like I was letting them down at work. And I was just like, can't do this. So I just left my corporate career. And I've always been the highest earner, the breadwinner in our marriage. And it was huge pressure. And I was like, I don't care how we're going to make ends meet. I just trust that we will. And I don't know how we did. I think mum and dad helped us out quite a lot because my husband was on an apprentice wage at the time, and we had a huge mortgage. And I did anything I could to earn money, you know, like delivering leaflets, babysitting, just like the worst jobs just to kind of pay the bills and put food on the table, right? And then as we were living in suburbia, that started to annoy me as well. So I'd left the corporate world, and then I was like, is this it? You know, in this 5x2 with a pool and a spa with walking distance to the primary school and the cafe strip. I'm like, this is what I'm meant to want. This is like, you know, nirvana. And I was like, is this it? This is just not what I want. So we decided to make a tree change, and we moved to 100 acres of complete wilderness after my second baby was born. And so we were building building on our wilderness block. My husband was working 7 days a week. He's a carpenter, so he's working on other people's homes during the week and then building hours at the weekend. 2 little kids. No, you know, I'm from the UK, obviously by the accent. My husband's from New Zealand. No family to support us. It was super, super full on. And all of a sudden, we moved in. I managed to keep everything together till we moved in. And then I just got this just wretched, awful, chronic nausea. Like I just felt sick all of the time. I was constipated. That was something that had been like a kind of long-term issue for me. And especially then when I had kids, because there wasn't really enough time to kind of sit on the loo and wait for a bowel movement, because there was always something that needed to be done. I had really bad insomnia. So I was really exhausted all day, dreaming of hopping into bed on a night, and then I'd get into bed and I'd start singing some kids theme tune to something on ABC for kids in my head, like some kind of torture. Couldn't sleep. As it turned out, I went to see a naturopath, and she did a few tests, and I had leaky gut. I had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which I now know goes kind of hand in hand with constipation. Yeah. And my kind of like default mood was just like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? It was too hard. I went for every single test at the doctor's. I was like so certain I was dying of a horrible disease because my whole body was aching. Wow. I had plantar fasciitis. I had to wake up in the night to pop Nurofen to go back to sleep because I ached so much, which I now know is kind of like a catch-22 because that makes the gut worse. Yeah. And it was just a real mother of a body burnout that kind of, I guess, had been on a slow build since being a teenager.
We sound so similar. Our stories, oh my gosh.
Sisters.
Okay, so you went to the naturopath, did some tests, leaky gut, SIBO. What was your journey for healing?
Well, lots of supplements and liver detoxy kind of phase 2 stuff to do. And for me, the main thing that I knew, and it was almost like it kind of dropped in intuitively, that I needed to go gluten-free. I was like, she's just going to tell me to go gluten-free. So I was like, okay, well, let's just go gluten-free. That can't be hard. And I'm very type A. So I was like straight off to the shops, right? Gluten-free bread, gluten-free cereal, gluten-free, just the swaps. And it was so disappointing because I was like, what is in this product? It was like just all sorts of soy and emulsifiers and numbers. And besides all of that, it tasted like cardboard. It was like so disgusting. It was very, very disappointing. And I remember just feeling so deflated, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to live like this? It's horrible. But as you know, you're only a couple of clicks away from paleo when you go down the gluten-free route. So I decided that, look, in for a penny, in for a pound, might as well just knock out, seed oils as well as gluten, and might as well take out grains altogether. I did a dairy-free stint, alcohol-free, a coffee-free stint. I did the lot. And I really needed it. It was like a really good kind of reset for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it took a while for the nausea to go. It would kind of come back, if I was a bit overworked or a little bit tired. But I remember just that after about a week or so, just kind of like this veil lifting of just like, whoa, oh my goodness, the colors are brighter and the music sounds better. And I've got that little glimmer of there is a point to all of this, which kind of gives you those little glimmers, just kind of give you that inspiration to keep on going, right?
Yeah, I remember actually, it was after my second baby too. I did a stool test, so many pathogens, including parasites. And I think it was about a couple of days after killing off the parasites, I was driving my oldest to the daycare. And prior to that, very similar, like mood, what's the point? I had a lot of anxiety and stuff as well. But I just remember that cloud of something lifting off me. And it was actually, I would call it a spiritual experience because the sun was shining in my face as I was driving across a bridge. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, not only like, wow, I'm actually starting to feel even better than what I ever have before, but these parasites were actually affecting my mood. It's like, what the heck?
It's so cool. Yeah, it's I would agree, a very spiritual, it's like a feeling of connection, like
connection.
You're no longer disconnected from source. It's so cool.
Yeah. So with more hindsight and wisdom, what do you think the root cause or causes were for you?
That is a good question. Well, I reckon probably from a physical perspective, it might be kind of nervous system stuff. I was pretty stressed out, which means I had very low stomach acid. And I think, my dad had what he called during those years a nervous stomach. And my grandma was very the same, very kind of like an overthinking kind of, with like that kind of overthinking, anxious, busy kind of genes. And so I think that was low, which led to low stomach acid, which then led to SIBO because, it wasn't breaking down my food properly. I think a congested liver, which meant I wasn't producing enough bile, which was leading to just big food particles, overgrowth of bacteria, constipation. Like I said, no time to sit down for a proper bowel movement. And then, just I think maybe from sort of more of a spiritual or a mind perspective, I think for me, that mixed pressure I felt to be a stay-at-home mum, but also the need to work to make ends meet. And also like I love my kids and I loved being at home, but I needed something a bit more than just washing and domestic bile, as I call it. It's like, it's lovely. I love looking after my home and, making beautiful food and being in my veggie patch and doing my yoga and all of that kind of thing and being with my kids. But I needed something more where I could like fulfill a passion, give me that fulfillment, something, a bit of a creative outlet. So a bit of combination. And I think that's a question we might always, we're always kind of trying to think and get to the root cause of, well, what was it and what is it? It's a really good question.
Yeah. I think you picked up a lot of good things. I think too, when you said I'm a bit of a type A personality, it's like type A personality, body burnout. Until you actually understand your patterns and the way that you kind of like do things, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now what I know I can change, or I can live in a way that doesn't go a bit crazy.
Yeah. And to just be really conscious of the signals that your body gives you, because it tells you straight away. But we try and, you know, push it down. Like, you know, reflux for me is always the first one. Like it's the first sort of, you know, red flag. Not good. Something's going down. You're rushing around too much. You're not chewing your food. You're not present while you're eating. Your stomach acid's low. Yeah. Or you've, you know, given too much of a nudge, reading your book too late into the night, not getting enough sleep, had too many nights where you've had a glass of wine, you know, all of these kind of things.
Yeah. It's like just keeping everything in balance and in check using pain.
Yeah.
Okay. So the grain-free eating was a big part of your journey, and you got some really cool results around that using that method. Tell us about your business, Primal Alternative, which I just love. Why did you start this? What makes your product special? Just especially for people who might not know what Primal Alternative is.
Cool. All right. Well, after I was feeling so good eating a paleo primal lifestyle, I really just felt it's almost like when you're on a healing journey, it's a very selfish and inward time. And it has to be like that, because you're not used to anyone while you're feeling as crappy as that, right? And you're in body burnout, you need to prioritize yourself first. But when you start to feel better, you know, like the day you're driving to daycare and you're going over the bridge, like, ooh, and how I felt too, I was like, oh my goodness, who knew you could feel so better just by changing what was on the end of your fork? Like, mind blowing. This is just incredible. And I was going on about it to anyone who'd listen. And every time somebody said, so, oh, I've got this or that, I'd be like prescribing the primal diet to them, you know. And my friend said to me at the time, geez, it's just like you found God. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm getting a bit boring. So I decided to qualify as a primal health coach so that I could help with the women, but help them like in a helpful way instead of just boring the pants off them. So I started running group coaching sessions. One-on-one sessions. I'd have like chats at my house, primal chats, where everyone would come around and talk about their experiences. And I'd started baking, because I told you about that supermarket bread was just disgusting. So I just tweaked some family favorite recipes, you know, because Mike said to me, that's my husband, the chippy husband, he said, we're not doing this without cookies. So I was like, okay, well, I just changed like the self-raising flour for almond meal and the margarine for organic butter and the white sugar for coconut sugar and the, you know, compound horrible chocolate from the supermarket for 70% cacao chocolate. And the result of the cookie was like so much nicer than the original. So I was like on a roll. What else can I do? So I did pizzas and bread and cereal and all the things that you kind of miss. And they were really nutrient dense. You know, the bread I was making was with like eggs and zucchini and, you know, really amazing ingredients and very nourishing and just made you feel so good, but you didn't feel like you were missing out. And so all my health coaching clients are like, this is great, H. I feel so good and I'm dead good during the week, you know, doing all my meat and veg and soaking my nuts and doing my ferments and doing my meat stock. But by the weekend, I can't be bothered anymore. So, you know, I've gone and I've ordered a pizza. I've gone to Domino's and I thought, oh, I've fallen off the wagon. So I'll just drain this bottle of red wine and then I might as well just eat the ice cream as well. Because, you know,
just do it all.
Ruined. Just throw it out the window, the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. So I was like, well, you know, like, why don't I give you some of these pizzas that we're having? And so I did. And so their results were just, it went from, you know, on the wagon, off the wagon to never feeling like they were missing out because there never had to be that, you know, I can't have this thing. And then before I knew it, like I was just doing this like for friends, but then before I knew it, the local pizza guy, Massimo, who's like authentic Italian, he was like, I want to have your pizza bases in my shop. He still sells them to this day. And then a couple of health food shops got in touch. And then a local farmer said, you should have a stall at the markets. People would love to buy your products. So I went out and did it. And then, that's kind of how it all started. And I guess what makes the products special is that they taste nice, which is good. And sometimes like there's a few paleo breads out there, but I don't know many other paleo pastries or wraps or, you know, brownies, pancake mixes. I just went for everything that we missed and just put it out there. So everything's, you know, homemade with love, which is really super important. The love that goes into food when it's homemade versus in a factory, in plastic, with the focus being all on shelf life and profit margin. There's a different vibe to something that's been handmade locally. So we've got food mile issue covered. And also we use cellophane packaging as well. So no plastic, which is a big value proposition of mine as well.
Yeah. I can't remember when I came across Primal Alternative. It would have been a few years ago, but before that I was making a lot of stuff myself because it was really hard to find something really good quality, especially in Tasmania, in like the little local area I live in. And when I got your bread, I'm like, this is not like the bread I make. I found that when I was trying to make bread grain-free, it just all fell apart. And I don't know what your secret recipe is, but yours are like so good. Like you can actually cut them and they don't just crumble everywhere. And super nutrient dense too. So I love just having like a piece of toast with some peanut butter for brekkie. And that does me for like 3 or 4 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so filling. It's so filling. And like it was trial and error. I'm not just saying, and then I just changed the recipes and voila. Like it was like so many failed, so much failed. And I don't know how much money, but lots of, almond meal's not cheap. So luckily we've got chickens. So they kind of like recycled, back into eggs and we could have another crack. But yeah, it's hard because you're not working with gluten, which kind of sticks everything together. You're not working with starch. You're not working with sugar. So those are all the things that make cakes and biscuits work. If you've got to take that out, it's a bit of a chemistry situation to try and get it to work properly and not just crumble.
Yeah. And what I love too about your products is it's not just primal or grain free, but you actually have quite a range of different healing diet recommendations. So if someone's vegan, ethically, or to heal, or if someone is on the low FODMAP, there's so many, or keto, you've just got everything covered.
Yeah.
It's great. It's amazing.
Well, that's pretty much because that was my journal, and then keto, and then tried low FODMAP, and then GAPS, so it's been like through the whole journey. I'm like, what am I going to have? And so, I can't have eggs now because, I did the IgG test and they're like, you can't eat eggs, you can't eat dairy. I'm like, oh my goodness, what else can I eat? It's a disaster. So there's always something in the Primal Alternative range for whatever protocol you're on. And even lunchbox, nut-free stuff, because it's quite hard to find some nut-free paleo stuff as well. Yeah, because, these are the things we face, right? And these are the journeys we go on.
Yeah, it's so good. Honestly, so many clients, people I know, myself, is just like, oh, yay, I don't have to make everything from scratch because people are busy as well. And so it is much easier just to buy something rather than making every single thing. Okay, so you have a pretty incredible business model. So you started making Primal Alternative, and then what happened? Did things just get like a bit out of control, or are you thinking, how can I make this Australia-wide or even worldwide?
Yeah, a bit of a combination. So it got busy, and then what it's like with social media and organic reach and stuff. I'd be having people like over east saying, "Oh, can you say no worries?" And because we don't use any preservatives, it'd arrive there. Everything takes so long from WA, and they'd be like just a box of mold, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to work," So there was like that practical part of it, and I wanted to get the product to more people because I knew it could really help. But also I was doing a bit of personal development work around that time. Those annoying questions that people ask you. And I remember there's like 2 people in particular, but this one guy is like a local millionaire, real guru in like the personal development space. And he was like, he came to one of my like how to go paleo workshops, and I was like, oh no, what you're doing here is really intimidating. And I just wanted some nice mums there, and why does he have to come?
And he comes with his suit.
Well, he just wears all black
black
t-shirt, black pants. And he said to me, he said, you've created a really good business model. I said, yeah, it's great. I'm making like $500 a week profit. It's paid. I'm really happy. Because, that's good. How are you going to grow the business from there? I was like, what a stupid question, in my head. Like, I'm so happy with $500 a week. Why would I want to do anything more with it? So he kind of planted this seed, and then was doing some work with a really cool, she does circle work. She's called Mitley Saudi. And she does like this Dare to Flourish questionnaire where she'll ask you, annoying questions that no one has got time for. Like, what are your values? What are your priorities? How do you want to go through the day feeling? What drains you? What inspires you? What strengthens you? What tools have you got that support you? And who do you need permission from? And what would you do? What are you going to do to kind of mitigate risks by planning for hurdles and speed bumps? And what tools have you got to overcome those, to be expected unexpecteds? I was like, oh goodness me, who's got time for this? It was so irritating.
This is so
but anyway,
woo-woo.
I did it right. It's just and
just
anyway,
give me some paleo bread.
Yeah, give me a strategy and I'll do it. So, like my background, my corporate career was in recruitment, and I told you about my time as a fitness instructor, right? So I was always talking to women, always around health, and then with work for 10 years in recruitment. And I'd always heard how women wanted to be like fit enough to be there for their family and run around after the kids. And with work, they wanted to do something that fit in around the kids, but there was no jobs out there, Philly. Like, it's a complete patriarchal model out there, like there's nothing, unless you want to do and have 4 weeks off a year. There's nothing there for you. There's nothing that fits around family, leave available. And, women like more variety, like they might do a little bit of this and they want to do a little bit and volunteer there and Pilates with Rose on that day. And, so it was a little combination of both of those things, thinking, I want to get these products to more people, and there's nothing for the women out there. And then kind of just in a moment of, just that really sort of rare moment in between one thought and the next thought, like this idea dropped in. I didn't sort of sit down and, get a marker pen and whiteboard and brainstorm how I'm going to grow my business. It just dropped in and it said, you need to just share this business model, just all the stuff you've learned about, getting your kitchen approved and the labels and the recipes and the pricing and how to make a sale and how to like post things on Instagram and all of that stuff that's really hard and really trips people up in business. Just share that with them. And like, I'm an only child. I don't know about what it's like to have sisters really, but I knew that I wanted to create this like sisterhood where we could all be in it together and learn from each other and celebrate each other, because, families are great and everything, but they don't really get it when it comes to what you're doing. Oh, that's nice, mum. Oh, that's nice, love, but they don't really get it as much as, your sisters get it.
The soul sisters.
Soul sisters. So I just thought, okay. And I knew that if I didn't run with this idea and manifest it or make it real, then that idea would just go to someone else and someone else would do it. So I was like, oh, what, me? And that day I went to see 3 really inspiring women, like my massage therapist and my best friend, and then Mitley, who was the one who asked me all those annoying questions. And I just said, look, this idea's come in that I should, license my business model. What do you think? And I think if anyone had gone, you must be kidding. Like, no one is going to, are you kidding me? No one's going to go for that. I would have never done it. But luckily, those 3 women said, oh my goodness, what a good idea. You have to do it. So I just kind of thought, okay, I didn't know what to do next, but I just trusted that if this idea had come from the source, universe, God, whatever you want to say, then the next steps would follow. So I just set out to do it. And even to this day now, I still follow that same guidance. It's pretty cool.
Love it. So cool. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like, love that. What year was it when you started Primal Alternative in terms of the Primalistas?
Okay, so I started the brand in 2014 and then received that idea in 2016. So it's 7 years now since we launched the Primalista license. At the time of recording this podcast. Yeah.
So cool. So cool. So you're very big, it sounds like, on the inner guide. What does that look like to you? Is it what you were just explaining? Sometimes you just get these like magical, inspiring thoughts, or how else do you follow that guide? And also around lifestyle. So you also believe that when you can tidy up your lifestyle, you can channel into that guide more so. And I'm like totally on board with
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I really think that when you clean up your diet and you clean up your environment, I always think as within, so without, so if you're living in a cluttered house, then it kind of makes you feel cluttered in your head. So there's that, but also mostly for me, the main one was clearing up the diet. Just felt like just an open channel, almost just cleared up all of that. I don't know, just fog or something that was there. But I used to think that intuition or your inner guide was reserved for special women with crystal balls. And I even used to actually pay a really awesome woman to access my guides. Like, I'd go around and say, can you tell me what my guides say? Until she said to me, look, you can actually do it yourself. Like, you don't need to come to see me, but you can do it yourself. And she told me about like different, you've heard, everyone's heard of like a clairvoyant, but there's lots of different clairs. There's about 10 of them, right? But most of the ones that are most common are things like clairvoyant, which is what things you see, sentient, which is what you feel, clairaudient, which is what I am. So it's like you hear voices, but not, not in a crazy way, not you need to be sectioned. And so a really easy way to kind of like test what your dominant clair is just to ask it a really factual yes or no question. So it could be something like, am I in Launceston? And you're like, I'm like, no. That's what I can hear, like, no. But some people might feel it like, no, or someone might see a big flashing no in front of them, and just ask a few more questions like that. You've got a dominant one. You've got all of them, but you have a dominant one. And then you can just practice. I just started talking to my, going out for walks in nature, talking, either just asking questions in my head or actually talking out loud. And then it doesn't have to be like big life-changing decisions like, how will I grow my business, or how will I create financial freedom, or how will I manifest the love of my life? It can be just like, what am I going to wear today? Like, and simple things that it kind of just becomes an inner knowing that guides you through everything. Like, and without all that decision fatigue or like weighing up pros and cons, what should I do? So it's quite interesting because I've practiced talking to my guide, and one day I just decided that I'd ask her for a laugh. It's a female entity, and I said to her one day, I said, what's your name? And she said, it's Pam. And I was like, that's a really daggy name for like a cool, like Pam. And then I said, what, Pam, like, what's that short for? And she said, it's the Primal Alternative Mother. And I was like, that's so true. And it's almost like, and we might lose some listeners here. They're like, this woman's crazy, but it's true. So bear with me. So it's a bit like, when you brew kombucha or vinegar and you have a mother, and then I can give you a SCOBY from my kombucha, and you can take the SCOBY to your house and you can grow your own kombucha there, right? It's exactly the same. And that is in essence what the Primalista license is, right? It's a business model that's worked for me, and I give that little bit of essence to you, and you go and do that in your life. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever.
It's all from Pam.
Thanks, Pam.
I love that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe I use different words, but definitely I'm more of a kinesthetic person. So I'll feel when something's right or when something's wrong. And that'll usually be like tension in my body or histamine type symptoms. But then when it's right, it's this beautiful energy. Knowing, yeah, just warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about what was it? Did you use the word parts, the different parts or the different voices, different clairs?
Different clairs, yeah. Which clair is your most dominant clair?
Yeah, okay. So feeling. we sometimes, like with our clients, because there's different parts of us as well. And sometimes different parts will show up when, maybe it's actually not quite the situation where they should be showing up. And so I've done a bit of work as well around like the characters or the parts of me that all live at the table, but they're all like, I can't ditch any of them. They're all part of me. Sometimes their role or their voices need to be changed or quietened though. And I actually did this the other day. Something happened where I was a bit triggered and I'm like, oh, that is irrational. So I sat down with my parts and I had a few show up. This is just with my eyes closed, talking to them, just asking questions. And I had one that was like fearful Philly, and she was wearing this blue jumper that had an umbrella on it. And that was the same jumper I wore on my first day of kindergarten when I didn't want to go to school and I was in my bedroom crying. Anyway, it was so funny that this adult Philly, the fearful Philly, was wearing the same jumper. And so I'm like, I love you. Thank you. I know you're always trying to keep me safe, but hey, let's like maybe change up your clothes. Let's put some armor on you and you're just going to be on the watchtower so that if there's real danger, you're still there and I'm listening to you, but you don't have to, it was an email that came through or something. But like small little things that actually don't matter. You're going to be quiet now.
Yeah, but it's funny because even in an email, and that's kind of the world that we live in now. Everything's like the most threat will come through a text or a Facebook comment or an email. Like it's not actually someone at your door for a physical scrap, but it has we have the same reaction to it, right? And I love how you talk about the parts. I talk about it too, but as not a part of me. So I would call them doubts and fears, and they're kind of over here on the left side. And doubts and fears are like little jumping up all the time. Listen to me with all these reasons why you shouldn't go ahead and do the thing you want to do. And it's great. And you just got to say, thank you so much, doubts and safe. But you know what? This is just an experiment. Just an experiment. And that makes them go, okay, that sounds fine. All right. Yeah, go on then. Yeah, no worries. Keep going. And they're just, it's not like they go away. It's not like you get to this transcended phase where you're never scared of anything and nothing triggers you, or you don't worry about things, or people don't upset you. You're like, what, are you just not human? And I think we've got to just really allow those feelings to be there and to really feel them, feel them, to heal them. And it's not easier said than done sometimes if there's other demands and things to get done, and some days we're better at than others, but it's a good practice.
It is. It's good. I like how you said that. I kind of talk to that worry fear or the fearful feeling is, hey, it's okay. Thank you. But we're going to try something new now. Like it's safe to try something new, and just stick by me. That's all good. You're going to like make sure that, I still stay safe, but we're just trying something new. So it's almost like you're actually guiding your guide or the part of you that might be holding you back, even though their purpose is to love and protect you.
Yeah, totally. And if you don't evolve that, then you just keep meeting the same devil at the next level, if you like, for an easy way to remind it. So it's really important to spend that time sitting down with your different parts and your different characters and having those conversations.
Yeah, I love it.
I might try that next time.
So a lot of our listeners are in a state of body burnout, whether that's energy, mood, gut issues, and stuck in that busyness trap. So when it comes to eating healthy, I know that for a lot of people, it's actually really difficult to maintain a healthy diet and lifestyle. So what would you say, just to finish off the conversation, your best tips for ditching deprivation? Because we don't want people to go into like restriction and hating the way that they're eating or living. So how do we ditch that mindset and then also apply strategies or changes that are long lasting and sustainable?
Yeah, love it. Yes, well, I think the main thing is just to not rely on willpower, because it's finite, it's really strong on a Monday morning, and it kind of checks off and like goes for a smoker about Wednesday morning. You can't rely on it. It's very unreliable and it runs out and doesn't check in until the following Monday. So you need to have something that doesn't rely on willpower, because when there's willpower and we can't have something, then humans, it's just human nature to want to get away with as much as possible. So if you want to get away with as much as possible, congratulations, it just means you're human. So just to try to create something where we don't feel ripped off, deprived, put out. So for me, my best practical tips would be to meal plan. Again, you can use your inner guide to help you with that. Or you can just ask your family what would they actually eat if you put it in front of them, which is more practical maybe and would save on grocery bills. So to have that already taken care of, you've already got the ingredients in, and to have some quality outsources. So, you might not want to make dinner every night. So where is there locally that you can get a decent, gluten-free, vaguely nutrient dense meal for the occasions when you do want to have a night off? Obviously, stash your freezer full of Primal alternatives like pizzas, bread, wraps, pastry, granolas, cookies, you name it. We've got everything apart from ice cream, but we've got everything else you could ever desire. And that can just be on hand, like for just whipping up something easy at the end of the week. Like Friday night is a great night to whip out a pizza base and just chuck every little scrap that's left over from the week onto there. And even Alex Stewart from Low Tox Life admits that a quality outsource is good. You can't do it all yourself. And look, the food delivery business is huge. Like whether you're getting Woolies online or Uber Eats, which is so expensive, it's like $25 a meal. If a family of 4 is doing that a few nights a week, that's expensive. So why not source some good quality ingredients and have some healthy, convenient, snacky things on board that's going to give you the convenience without the compromise and without the deprivation.
Yeah. I think the big one for me was just finding delicious food that was healthy. Whether that was making it, buying it, and also going on holidays. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I'd always let's just say we're going to Sydney. I'm like, where are the best paleo or health food cafes or healthy vegan cafes? And I'm like, awesome. Now my family, we're going to go to all those places and you're also going to enjoy it because the food's going to be delicious.
Yeah. And this food tastes so much better than conventional food. It's way tastier.
So especially once you've been... Yeah, I was going to say, especially once you've been eating it and it's just part of your life, and then you go and have a crappy chocolate chip cookie and it's just this just tastes weird.
It doesn't even taste. Yeah, I know. It's what is it and what's in it? And it just sort of leaves you feeling ripped off. And I think that's actually, don't get me started on how they process things in food labs to make it so you always feel a bit ripped off, and because you then want more, it's designed to be unsatisfying. Whereas without one of our cookies, you have our cookie, you're like, I'm done. My cookie need is quenched. So much more satisfying.
Especially the chocolate ones. It's just oh yeah, chocolate fix, done. Okay, it's been so awesome chatting food, primal stuff, and the inner guide.
Don't forget Pam.
and Pam. I'll never forget Pam. So if our listeners want to, two things. If there's listeners that want to get their hands on some Primal alternative goodies, where can they go? And if there's anyone listening who is just you know what, this business opportunity of being able to cook at home, beautiful food, healthy food that is in line with my values and make money, how can we find out about those two things?
Yeah, great. Okay, so if you want to order the products, the best thing to do is to go and check out what we've got. So if you go to primalalternative.com/products, that'll take you to what we've got, what the macros are, how many carbs it's got, what ingredients are in it, etc. And then order directly from your local Primalista. That's the best way to do it. And they're more than happy to post.
Do you do that through the website? You do that through the website?
Through the website. Yep. Yeah, you'll see the link. So I don't have a shop on my site. So you'll go to directly. So kind of inside out, because it's local, compared to a normal food. We don't do normal. It's very alternative. We do things the other way around here. But if you're, like you want to be of service in the world like Philly is, but you don't want to go to uni and, study a degree and do years to like develop a business and get a client list and goodwill and all of that kind of thing, you can jump on board and get into the wellness industry and be a professional in 6 weeks with the Primalista license. So the best place to go and check that out would be to primalalternative.com/license. And also, if you want to grab an info pack and just have a bit of a read about what it's all about, I've got a recipe in there to try as well. That's primalalternative.com/info-pack. But if you go onto the website, it'll all be easy to find.
Awesome. I'll make sure we have show notes down below. But yeah, that's huge. From one business owner to another, it takes a really long time to build a brand is really what Primalistas are receiving as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was lovely chatting.
Mm-hmm. Always. Thank you, Philly.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.